My entitled, selfish uncle is trying to claim that my house that I inherited from my grandfather actually belongs to him. He's even gone as far as doing construction on my house without my permission, simply because he's going to be renting it from me for 3 years, and he feels he's entitled to do whatever he wants to it. And I'm honestly so frustrated by this man that I really don't know what to do. I'm a 23-year-old male, and I was very close to my grandfather who passed away last year. He left me his entire estate, including the house after my grandma divorced him. Before he passed away, my grandma had asked him to let her son, who is my uncle, rent the house. So they set up a 3-year contract for $1,800 a month, and at the end of it, he could buy the house for $377,000. And this contract ends this November. After a lengthy probate process, the house is now officially in my name. My uncle asked if I'd extend the contract because of high interest rates, but I didn't want to because I'm hoping to buy my own house soon. My grandma pressured me, saying that it's family, so I reluctantly agreed to extend it for 3 more years. While I was waiting for a new contract to be drafted, my uncle asked if he could start construction on the house, and I said no. But then a friend of mine who was doing the work told me that my uncle had already started construction without my permission. So I went to check it out, and sure enough, major work had been done without any kind of permits. I confronted him, and he just denied it until I showed him photos. He then claimed that it was his house and that he could do to it whatever he wanted. Later, during a family holiday, my uncle and his girlfriend ambushed me, proposing a 5-year contract with lenient rent terms, no restrictions on construction, and permission to sublet. Well, I refused and said that I would have my lawyer draft the contract instead. During probate, my uncle and his girlfriend discussed what they would prefer contract-wise that left it more open-ended. I continuously listened to their wants. However, I told them in the end I would send them a contract drafted by my lawyer once the house was in my name. A few months later, my uncle, his girlfriend, and my grandmother sent me the 5-year contract they had proposed during the family holiday, and I just firmly declined. My grandmother then called and berated me for not signing it, claiming that if it weren't for her, I wouldn't have inherited anything from my grandfather. And at that point, I lost my temper. I said to her, "You've got to be kidding me." She then responded by saying, "Your grandpa would be disappointed in the way that you're talking to me right now." But I just replied back by saying, "Don't use my grandfather against me," and then I hung up. Well, since then, my grandma and my uncle have cut me off. I had my lawyer draft a new contract that basically stated it would be for 3 years, no subletting, and a clause requiring my approval for construction. And the rest of the original contract for my grandfather is the same. Well, now my uncle is saying he can only qualify for $350,000 instead of the $377,000 that he owes. And my family is actually pressuring me to accept the lower offer, accusing me of forcing him out. So am I the jerk for refusing his contract, insisting that he either pay the full amount, sign my contract, or move out? Because right now, the family pressure that I'm experiencing just for standing my ground is absolutely obnoxious. What should I do? Okay, first of all, your family is absolutely obnoxious. They're asking for way too much out of you, and they're crossing so many boundaries it's not even funny. Like, your uncle literally started doing construction on this house without any permission from you. And for him to be like, "Oh, this is my house," like, that is crazy and so unacceptable. And everybody is so entitled around you about this stupid house. Part of me almost thinks like, okay, you got $350,000? Sure, that's more than enough. Take it and get out of my hair. But if I'm being completely honest, I think you should make them either pay the whole thing or just accept the modified 3-year contract that you spelled out. 5 years is a long time, and even 3 years is too long for me. But if I was in your shoes, I would want to keep the house. Like, if this house can be mine in 3 years, and this guy doesn't have the money to pay for it, why would I not want to have it? You could use that to get a different house or just live there if you wanted to. And it's just so rich that everyone's like, come on, he's so close to the $377,000. But it's like, people, the difference we're talking about is like $27,000. That's not just some spare change sitting around. That's a lot of money. So I think it's a good idea that you're standing your ground, because the way your family's acting is incredibly obnoxious.
If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories.
I cheated on my husband with a person from my work, and I'm now in the process of figuring out how I can tell him what I did, because right now I feel so guilty, and at this point I really don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I've been with my husband for the past 6 years, and we've been married for 3. I met him in our postgraduate program and fell in love. He is the most wonderful man and an amazing life partner. He does everything right. He cares for me through thick and thin. He was my rock when I battled depression. He makes sure of the little things and the big things. He gives me reassurance whenever I need them, and I need them very often. He tells me every day how lucky he is to have me, how much he loves me, and how much I make him happy. And trust me, I I know the irony of the situation. We moved to a new country 7 to 8 months ago, and it's been a really rough time since then, dealing with the lack of a social circle, a new culture, no job, some financial struggles, etc. Now, I found a job, but he is still looking for one, and every time he would get rejected, it would be taxing for the both of us, and this entire process is really devastating. So now onto the cheating part. I met this 30-year-old male at work, and we talked for a bit as I was just trying to connect with people at the office and trying to make friends. And to be honest, I did have a crush on this person, and I told my husband about this crush as well. I told him that I will take care of it, but I didn't stop. I should have stopped talking to this person right then and there, but I didn't, and I realize it now. During one of the conversations, somehow we confessed that we find each other attractive, and that led to a 4-day conversation where we were sending pretty explicit messages, if you know what I mean. I felt nervous yet really excited the first day, and the second day I felt really guilty, but I just couldn't stop. I was also looking for any kind of traces of cheating on my husband's phone, and by the third day, I don't really know why, but I just kept on going. By the fourth day, I felt awful, and I felt like I did something so horrible. So I spoke to this person and I decided to end it right then and there, but I already broke my husband's trust, and he trusted in me blindly. I ruined our marriage, and we built it with so much love. I ruined everything, and this was all just a month ago. Since then, I have gone through different phases. Phase 1 is that I will just keep this hidden for my entire life, and phase 2 is that I will try to find any proofs of when my husband may have cheated in the past, but I came up empty-handed because he didn't. Phase 3 brought about the guilt. Every waking moment I feel like garbage, and how he deserves so much better than me. He told me again today that he hasn't ever been lucky in his life except with me, but I messed him over here as well. He didn't deserve this. He needs to know what his dear wife did to him. He has the right to decide what he wants to do after what I did to him. I want to tell him. I've been wanting to for the past few days, and he can sense the sadness that I feel when I think of telling him, and he will even ask me if everything's okay. But he has some interviews, and if I tell him about me cheating on him, it will just absolutely destroy him, so I can't do it yet. So how do I even tell him about this? This will break him, and I do plan on going to therapy to work on myself, but I can't do that as we don't have enough money for that. Now, I really do love my husband, despite how hard it may be to believe. Do I wait until he gets a job, or do I tell him now? How do I even tell him about this? What should I do? Wow, this is literally devastating. Here you have somebody who is literally claiming, oh yeah, my husband's perfect. He loves me and takes care of me and does all these wonderful things. He's helped me through depression and all this other stuff, and I love him so much. And then she goes on to be like, okay, and by the way, I cheated on him. Like, what is going on right now? That is such a dichotomy here. You don't love this guy. If you loved him, you wouldn't have cheated. And I just love the fact that with people like this, they try to frame this as like, oh, I made a mistake. But it's like, no, that's not a mistake. What you did is literally a calculated decision. You made the choice to send those messages to that guy and entertain this conversation even further. Accidentally bumping into someone on the subway would be a mistake, or dropping something and breaking it on the ground, like that's a mistake. That's like an accident and you just didn't mean to do that, and you try to like fix things from there. But this right here, this is not a mistake. This is you literally blowing up your marriage all because you wanted to have some fun for 4 days. Like, how is that the solution for what, 8 months of trouble? And I totally understand moving somewhere new and not knowing the culture or anybody around there, as well as having financial struggles. But where in your brain did you connect the bridge of like, okay, the only way I can fix this is by cheating on my husband? Like, that is crazy in my opinion. You do not deserve this guy at all. And for me, the icing on the cake is you looking for your husband cheating on you, and then coming back empty-handed and being like, oh my gosh, I'm a piece of garbage. And it's like, yes, in this moment in your life, you are a horrible person. The fact that you did this to your husband is unbelievable. So you ask the question of when should you tell him? In my opinion, you should tell him like right away. Because I know if I had someone that I married and I loved, and I said, oh yeah, I'm so lucky to have you, and they were doing this behind my back, I would lose my mind. I wouldn't want to be with that kind of person. Like, that's not fair for me, especially when I'm trying to find a job and, I don't know, have a life. So sure, you didn't ask it, but I'm just gonna say that yes, you are the jerk here, and you definitely have an obligation to tell him the truth, because he does not deserve to be in a situation like this. I want to tell my strict mother about my secret boyfriend, but I'm worried about how she will react, as she has always been very weird about me having a relationship. Because right now I'm at my breaking point and I really don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, I want to start off by saying that I really want to tell my mom about my boyfriend. I feel like it would be beneficial, not just for me, but for her as well. Whenever we hang out, I have to lie about where I am, making up excuses just to spend time with him. Sometimes I wonder if something were to happen to me, how would they even know the truth? It's also affecting our relationship because we can't do normal couple activities without me having to come up with a believable lie for my outings. I don't want to keep making up stories behind their backs. I want to come out and tell them, but it feels almost impossible. For reference, I'm a 19-year-old female and my boyfriend boyfriend is 23. We met while we used to work together, and when we wanted to start seeing each other outside of work, I would lie and say I was going to school on Saturdays just to be with him. I used to go to school on Saturdays, so it seemed like a reasonable and believable excuse. When my mom was looking for someone to teach me how to drive, I introduced her to him, but only as a guy from work who was getting paid to teach me. The money she paid him for my driving lessons, he would just give back to me, and he taught me how to drive for free. And this also gave us time to hang out outside of work. Now, at first, my mom wasn't fond of him. She just saw him as the guy who offered to teach me how to drive at a cheap price. She would always warn me that while he was teaching me, it would be strictly professional, with nothing more going on. Sometimes she questioned my progress, saying to me, "You've been learning to drive for a whole month, but you're not showing much improvement." And she would even try to say, "Hopefully you're not doing anything else with this guy but driving." And the truth is, we often use our driving lesson as an excuse to go on dates and make out instead. She's always suspected that I might be seeing someone, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. For example, on Valentine's Day, I said I was at school when I was actually at the movies with him. He got me flowers, and since he is my first boyfriend, I wanted to try and keep them. But looking back, I should have just admired them and thrown them away before going home because it caused so much conflict. She was suspicious and asked me who gave me the flowers, and I just lied and said some guy at school who was really into me gave them to me, and I only took them because I wanted to take pictures with them. But she just wasn't buying it this time. She was pissed off, I could tell, but she couldn't fully accuse me of anything. She just kept saying, "You think I'm stupid, don't you?" After she calmed down a bit, I decided to tell her another secret I was hiding to cover up the bigger lie. I thought the best thing to do was to reveal a smaller secret to distract her from the bigger one. So I told her I had something to tell her, and her first guess was to say, "You have a boyfriend, don't you?" To which I replied by saying, "Why do you always have to think it's that?" I then revealed that I had my septum piercing, which is something she was against. She was disappointed, but not as angry as I thought she would be, because it wasn't as bad as what she expected. And this has been going on for quite a while now. And now that I know how to drive, she thinks that I've stopped seeing him. After all, why would I still be in contact with him if it wasn't for driving lessons? If I were to suddenly introduce him as my boyfriend, especially since she's suspected it once or twice before, it would seem like a plot twist. She would feel betrayed and think I tricked her and played her right under her nose. So seriously, how do I make this possible and acceptable? I really like him, and I want my mom to know about his role in my life. She doesn't have to fully accept him as if we're getting engaged tomorrow, but at least know the truth. I'm tired of the lies stacking up onto more lies, but I'm struggling to find a way to tell her without all of this turning into an absolute disaster. I wish I could just tell her, and I wish it was so easy to just tell her some things that I've always wanted to talk to my mom about, but honestly, I can't do it, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Okay, first and foremost, I think you need to understand that you are definitely an adult now. You're 19 years old, and you can have a boyfriend if you want one. Like, I can understand that your mom is like super strict and really weird, but at least from my perspective, I think you will feel so much better about all of this if it's just out in the open. And don't get me wrong, you should definitely do what's best for you, because you know your mom way better than anybody else that could possibly like read your story. But from my end, I think it might be a good idea to like say something and be like, "Yeah, I have this boyfriend," because what you're describing sounds like a nightmare. You have to like lie constantly and make up excuses just to spend time with this guy that means a lot to you. So hopefully whatever you decide to do goes well, because what you're describing right now sounds absolutely obnoxious. Am I the jerk for demanding money back from my mother-in-law after she scammed my husband by using our 4-year-old son just to get some cash? Because right now I am very pissed off, and at this point I really don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so I'm married to my husband who has a very manipulative and selfish mother. She constantly asks us for money, and we unfortunately give it to her because she always has some kind of sob story. She needs it for cigarettes, car payments for a car she hasn't driven in 2 years, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. Well, today was the final straw when she involved my 4-year-old son. She made my husband drive 1 hour to her house to pick her up to come all the way back to our house to visit my son. But then she made up this whole story about how she suddenly can't go anymore because she doesn't have a ride back. Now, my husband said he would drive her back, as he always does that anyways, but oddly enough, she said no. Mind you, she does have a boyfriend of 25 years that she lives with, and he also works and has a job. She said my husband needs to turn around and leave back to our house without her, and she will not be seeing our son today. And on his way out, she begs him for $200 so she can buy a birthday present for my son. She also begged him not to tell me about it. Well, obviously he told me, and I am so pissed off that she seriously tried to get him to keep this from me when it is literally our money. Now, he did give it to her because he always falls for her sob stories and her constant BS. She swears that she will pay it back on October 1st when she gets her government check, but she definitely won't do it because she never never paid back a penny of the thousands of borrowed dollars we gave her over the years. And this is just something that she is known for, and I'm sick of it. She pretended as if she wanted to see my son. She made my husband spend over 2 hours of his day off driving when he could have just been relaxing with us, and then she tried to get him to lie to me, which just really set me off more than ever. I told my husband she has until October 1st to give it back to us, because otherwise I'm gonna call her, demand it back, and curse her out. And despite the fact that I will be blocking her permanently, my husband actually said that's a crazy plan and I just need to leave it alone. So seriously, am I at fault in this situation? What should I do? Okay, first of all, you are definitely not the jerk wanting your money back, because your mother-in-law sounds insane. She literally scammed your husband, and she scammed you as well in the process by getting that money from him. And the fact that this is not an isolated incident, and that this keeps happening, in my opinion, really points the problem straight at your husband. Like, this guy might as well be a doormat with money coming out of him. He just lets his mom walk literally all over him all the time. He doesn't have any say in the matter, and he's just like, no, it's fine, just let it go, leave it alone. And it's like, no, you cannot be serious right now. This lady is taking advantage of you. You can't possibly be sitting there and being like, oh, it's fine, she needs the money, because that is clearly not the case. So no, you are not in the wrong in the slightest, and I think you are well within your right to demand your money back. Am I the jerk for refusing to move out, even though my roommate is 7 months pregnant and is demanding that I get out of the house so that her family can have space to live? Here's what happened. Okay, so last week, my roommate, who we will call Becca, found out that she's not only pregnant, but 7 months along. She texted me that we had to talk today, and I assumed that she would be moving out soon so that she can have more space for when the baby comes in. Now, for a bit of context, I'm on a terrible salary, and I cannot afford anywhere else to live. So with that in mind, she wants me to move out right now so she can prepare for the baby. Even if I wanted to move out right now, the apartment rentals in my area are either too expensive or they are well below living standards, so I don't want to move. She went absolutely crazy the moment I told her I wouldn't move out, because according to her, I'm ruining her motherhood experience by not letting her family live together. Now, I pay rent here, and my name is on the lease until at least the end of the year. I'm not going to pull out of the lease, and I told her that if she wants her little family together, then she should be the one to move out, and I will find someone to split the rent with. Well, that made her start crying and saying how I just wanted to ruin her life, to the point that her baby daddy had to console her and tell me to get out of their way already. And I've not heard her stop crying ever since, but I think I'm totally valid that I don't want to leave. So am I the jerk for not wanting to move out? What should I do? No, this is not your problem at all. You are definitely not the jerk for saying, I've got a lease until the end of the year, sorry, but I'm not going. Like, why should you move your entire life around all because your roommate got pregnant? Like, if anybody should move out to find a bigger place, it should be her, because this is truly her problem and not yours. You're not the reason she got pregnant, and you're definitely not responsible for her future family and her child. Which, by the way, how does someone go 7 months without knowing they're pregnant? Like, that is super irresponsible and just so insane in my opinion. So no, I don't think you did anything wrong, and I think you are completely justified in saying that you do not want to move out. Am I the jerk for refusing to cancel child support from my sister after I had to become the guardian of her daughter that she was literally neglecting? Here's what happened. I'm a 34-year-old male, and I've been taking care of my sister's daughter for around 6 years. This all started when my sister got arrested for felony theft and substance charges. She's been a longtime addict. She's been a poor mother and a family manipulator. No one else in the family really stepped up, so I offered to take my niece in while my sister did some substance treatment to avoid jail time. From the very beginning, my niece, who was around 10 at the time, didn't want anything to do with her mom, and I thought that was odd, but over the first few months that I had her, my niece opened up about her mom treating her very poorly. So I sought a guardianship for my niece and told my sister that I would not willingly send my niece back to her unless my sister got off the substances and sorted her life out. Well, my sister initiated a legal fight with me to terminate the guardianship. I grew to love this kid like my own, and I didn't want to send her back to a bad environment. It cost me 6 figures over the course of a year and a half in legal fees, but eventually I won. I managed to marshal substantial evidence of my sister's ongoing substance problems, and the court relied upon a third party who basically reported favorably about my niece and my care, and about my niece's negative view of her mother. At some point in the legal process, as I was shelling out 5-figure monthly legal bills, I learned that as my niece's guardian, I was entitled to child support. So I filled the forms to seek it, and I ended up winning that as well. Now, the state oversees the support award and is apparently pretty thorough in seeking it, garnishing paychecks and even bank accounts. But now, years later, I'm starting to get pressure from the other family to forgive the child support. I have family reaching out to me saying my sister is doing better and just cannot get ahead, having to give up portions of her paycheck every month. With back amounts, it's like $30,000 $30,000 in back support that I am owed. Now, I don't really need it if I'm being really honest. I make a good living, and it's better than anyone else in my family. In all likelihood, my sister's debt will never be paid in full, but I don't want to let it go. I've started telling relatives, hey, listen, that's great that you want to help out my sister. Why don't you pay me the $30,000 in debt plus the present value of the award until my niece is 18? Only then will I forgive my sister's obligation. And my relatives have all been huffy at that response. My sister initiated a fight with me, knowing full and well that she was back on the substances, that she lied about it, and got caught in open court. It was all such a waste of a large amount of money in my prime years that I would have otherwise saved and set aside to retire on, or pay for my niece's education. And you know what? I'm still mad about it. And my sister can owe me it pretty much forever for all I care. So am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? No, I don't think you're the jerk at all. That child support literally goes to the niece that she's neglecting. She's not taking care of her kid. She hasn't done anything to help out this child. So yes, in my opinion, if I was in your shoes, I would absolutely demand child support payments. Like, are you kidding me right now? And it's honestly so disgusting that family would be like, wait, stop, you need to forgive her. She can't get ahead on her paychecks. It's like, are you kidding me right now? These people stood on the sidelines and idly did nothing about this and are now taking the side of the addict instead of, I don't know, the kid who was affected by it. Like, these child support payments go to this kid. And to that end, I love the way the original poster responded. They basically said, oh, you want to help her out? Okay, pay me the money then. Because suddenly these family members scatter like roaches the second they gotta actually, like, I don't know, do something about the situation. So no, I don't think you're the jerk at all in this scenario, and I think that you're completely justified in everything that you're doing.
When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.